A fine of $252 million was levied not against an offshore shell, not against an unknown intermediary, but against a named American semiconductor equipment manufacturer whose products sit at the center of global chip production. The penalty order recording that fact is unsettling less for the number it announces than for the explanations it declines to offer. The document is the Bureau of Industry and Security's civil penalty order against Applied Materials, dated February 2026, charging that company with unlicensed exports routed through a Korean subsidiary to Chinese chip makers, covering equipment valued at roughly $126 million. We will read it twice, once for what it plainly establishes, and once for what it, with some precision, leaves out. The order establishes its core finding without ambiguity. Applied Materials, a company domiciled in the United States with a dedicated trade compliance function, shipped semiconductor manufacturing equipment to Chinese customers in violation of Export Administration regulations. The record shows this was not accomplished through a rogue employee or an undisclosed affiliate operating outside the company's awareness. The shipments moved through a named Korean subsidiary, operating in the ordinary course of business, not in the shadows of it. The dollar asymmetry the order states is worth holding for a moment. The equipment shipped was valued at approximately $126 million. The penalty assessed is $252 million, exactly twice the transaction value. The order states this ratio without commentary. It encodes, without explaining, the Bureau of Industry and Security's standard aggravating factor logic. A fine set above transaction value eliminates profit and imposes deterrence beyond simple disgorgement. The arithmetic is the enforcement theory, and the order lets it speak for itself. The order also establishes that this was not a single shipment or an isolated compliance lapse. The scope and duration of the transaction set, the order describes, indicates a pattern of unlicensed activity. How long that pattern ran, the order does not say at that granularity, but the framing forecloses the reading that this was a one-time misjudgment. The order acknowledges cooperation and remediation as factors considered in arriving at the $252 million figure. That acknowledgement carries a specific implication the order does not spell out. $252 million reflects a downward adjustment from a higher starting point. The order includes the cooperation credit. It does not quantify what that credit was worth, so the penalty floor and the unadjusted ceiling both remain outside the record. By the Bureau of Industry and Security's own accounting, this case is the single largest component of nearly $420 million in combined penalties the agency has cited for chip export violations over the preceding year. The order's placement in that landscape is stated in the penalty record itself. Applied Materials is not one case among many of similar scale. It is the anchor violation in what the agency has treated as a coordinated enforcement period. Reading it again, the silences accumulate differently. The order names the Korean subsidiary as the immediate shipper. It does not examine the internal compliance structure that permitted the subsidiary's conduct to go undetected or undisclosed for the duration of the violation period. The record shows the legal entity through which the exports moved. It does not record the approval chain that permitted them. A subsidiary routing exports to restricted destinations is a known compliance risk, the subject of considerable Bureau of Industry and Security guidance over many years. The order's silence on whether internal controls were absent, overridden, or simply untested leaves open the question the document is formally supposed to close. How does a company of this scale produce $126 million of unlicensed shipments through a named subsidiary without the company's own compliance function surfacing them? The order specifies the category of what was shipped: semiconductor manufacturing equipment. It does not identify the process nodes the equipment served, or the deposition, etch, or metrology capabilities it was designed to support. The record shows a transaction. It does not show a capability transferred. This is the most consequential silence in the document. Export controls on semiconductor manufacturing equipment are written at the level of technical specification. Tolerances measured in fractions of a nanometer, chamber configurations, deposition rates. The order does not say whether the equipment shipped approached those controlled thresholds or crossed them. A reader of the order cannot determine, from the order alone, what the receiving facility gained in process capability. The violation is established. The technical consequence of the violation is not disclosed at that granularity. The order credits remediation in the penalty calculus and does not describe what remediation consisted of. The record shows the company cooperated. It does not show whether the Korean subsidiary's export operations were restructured, wound down, or placed under enhanced compliance monitoring. Penalty orders in Bureau of Industry and Security Enforcement are also prospective instruments. They are meant to deter by making corrective steps part of the public record, so the industry can read what a company built and what it was required to dismantle. An order that acknowledges remediation without describing it leaves the deterrent half-finished. The order functions the way a bill of lading functions. It is authoritative about what left the warehouse and when, and it is silent by design about what the recipient built with the contents. The document's authority ends at the point of shipment. Whatever was installed, whatever processes ran on the equipment after it arrived, whatever production lines incorporated it, those questions are outside the order's jurisdiction, and the order does not pretend otherwise. It penalizes the transfer. It makes no finding about the state of what was built with what was transferred. The record closes at the dock. The limits of the record are themselves part of the record. The order does not establish that Applied Materials' conduct was representative of the industry's broader compliance posture. It establishes one company's violation. The inference from one penalty to a systemic pattern is not a conclusion this document supports, and treating it as one would be a misreading the order itself would not endorse. The order also does not disclose whether parallel criminal referrals were considered or declined, which means the $252 million civil penalty cannot be read as the ceiling of the government's assessment of what occurred. The cooperation credit means the publicly available record reflects a negotiated settlement, not a fully litigated finding of fact. Some of what the order states as established was, in the process that produced the order, agreed rather than adjudicated. The record is authoritative about what it records and unreliable as a guide to everything it had no obligation to address, including the technical consequences of the transfer, the state of the receiving facilities, and the compliance infrastructure the company has since built or not built. What this order, read with its silences, establishes is something the export control debate rarely produces in writing. A named American equipment maker, operating through an ordinary corporate subsidiary, moved $126 million of manufacturing equipment to Chinese customers in violation of controls the United States government had imposed. The penalty order recording that fact declines to say what those customers made with it. The restriction is written into the order. Its consequences are in the margins. The usual account of technology transfer in the chip industry places the evasion outside the perimeter. A front company, an offshore intermediary, a smuggling network. This order places it inside, in a subsidiary structure the company named, in a transfer pattern the order calls unlicensed rather than concealed, in a compliance failure that the record shows but does not fully explain. The document closes the compliance case and leaves the capability question entirely open, and those are not the same closure. The next document worth reading closely is whatever the Bureau of Industry and Security issues when the next entity in this $420 million enforcement period settles. Each order in a coordinated penalty campaign is also a theory of what the previous order failed to deter, and that theory is always in what the new order adds and what it, again, declines to say. If you want to read those documents as they arrive, subscribe and turn on notifications. We go through them line by line,